Now it's my pleasure to introduce Jeff Davis, who I've been asking questions about. Jeff's our Director of Procurement. We work closely with him, and he's going to tell you all the good stuff that's coming up, all these good contracts. So thank you very much.
That's it, Rebecca?
That's it. And down is the forward, which doesn't make sense
Makes
to
sense.
me.
Makes all sense. It's like, okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, before I talk at you for 10 minutes, I want to know who I'm talking at. So I'm going to ask you to participate briefly. If you could, by show of hands, who is looking to prime state contracts?
What do you
Okay.
mean? To be a prime on the contract?
Yeah, who's interested in that? Okay. Who's interested in being a subcontractor on a state contract? Okay. Who has never been on a state contract and is interested in being a subcontractor? Okay. One word responses. Keep your hands up. Working from the back of the room. Sir, you put your hand down. Give me a one word pitch on what you do.
For me?
I'm all the way in the back.
Moving
Moving logistics. Okay, who else is coming up? Keep your hands up, people. You already answered, so you're good. No one in the middle? Miss in the middle with the low hand right there? Yes.
Excuse me.
I do accounting and financial analysis.
Okay. Okay, we'll move up. This gentleman? Yep.
Videography and photography.
Okay.
And marketing.
And marketing, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have this microphone one you.
Sir?
Preventative maintenance.
Preventative maintenance. Miss?
Construction management.
Miss?
Compliance and risk management.
Compliance and risk management. What a nice spread. Usually I get a lot of IT folks, and I'm always like, I can't help you. Did you have your hand up?
What do you do, sir? The hands up were for people that never worked on as a subcontractor.
Sir, I've been to several of these, and I know for a fact you do trucking. Right?
Well, you are a premier trucking and hauling company.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Why enterprises?
Right. I want to speak to those who this might be a little overwhelming at first, and I hope the information will be usable by everybody, okay? Because what I'm going to say, oh, did I miss you? Yes.
Yes.
Do you want the mic?
Oh, okay.
Some people need it, some don't.
One word, one word.
One word. Concrete testing.
2 words. What do you want to go with, concrete or testing?
Some concrete. Oh.
Which one is it? I didn't know. Okay, we'll go for that.
We test concrete, test.
Concrete testing, okay.
Breaking of cylinders, man.
Yeah.
So the reason I asked is what you're going to find out is, well, first off, the state doesn't buy anything. State agencies do, right? So the primes in the room, you have 70 customers, right? The subcontractors are going to have all of the primes who are pursuing those customers. So the subcontractors in the room are going to have hundreds of people they can go to for work, okay? And what you'll find when you deal with an agency our size is we're not buying specific commodities, right? We're building major structures. We are doing preventative maintenance on our facilities. But photography, trucking, concrete testing, I'm not going to be putting out a concrete testing, moving and hauling photography contract. I'm going to be putting out a large contract that you might assume has nothing to do with you. But we're going to play a little game here where we're going to start figuring out what subcontractable opportunities might exist in some of these major projects I'm about to share. And that way you're going to understand when you look online, so photography, marketing, so you either are going for like a PR kind of thing?
No, we mostly do in the field photography.
Okay, like job site photography and
Yes.
stuff? Okay, great, right? So I might not specifically hire a photographer, but I'm gonna hire a prime contractor who's gonna need to send us weekly, is it weekly reports?
Monthly.
Monthly,
Photos.
monthly job site photographs, right? So you're gonna have to figure out which contracts are gonna have that requirement. which primes might be pursuing those contracts, and you need to develop your marketing to show them how they will benefit from working with you on that. Okay.
Keep connecting with him right here. This is the guy you want to connect with.
You're right.
Okay, so this is too small. We'll fix that next time. Okay, but what you're gonna see up here,
Yes, we might hit a break with Mike.
oh my gosh.
I know.
Okay. Okay, so what's all these squiggly lines, because if I'm like this far away, this is gibberish to me, I can't read it. So I feel for you folks, I don't know how to zoom in. Hey!
Wow. Now you're talking.
Okay,
Yay.
okay. Let me put this down. No, I just, I have little children and every device is touchscreen. Okay, so this is important, the name. This is important when we're trying to do it. This is important if we've already determined if there's gonna be some contractual opportunities. But what I want to talk about, okay, replacing CCTVs at various facilities. Who here specializes in CCTVs?
What's the CCTV?
Closed circuit, like security cameras?
Okay. Now it's the IT people.
IT people, right? But what else would a contract that requires CCTV need? Electric, good.
Lifts.
What is it?
Lifts.
Lifts, yes,
Heavy duty equipment?
most likely.
Okay.
Depends on how high they are, right? Right, so what I'm trying to point out when I describe, because if I were to come here and just say, hey, we have a contract coming up about fixing a drawbridge, you're gonna be like, how does that apply to me? Photos, trucking,
The heavy duty
moving,
equipment?
hauling, heavy duty equipment,
Traffic control.
right?
Traffic control.
Traffic control,
Excuse me.
Surveying.
Surveying.
surveying, right? So as I share these opportunities, I want you to kind of think, this isn't exactly my commodity, but my commodity can support it. So that's why I often tell folks, one second, let me get this thought out. I often tell folks, not only register on the Emma website for the commodities that you perform, but the commodities that may need your service. Heavy civil construction is gonna need photographs, gonna need trucking, gonna need survey, gonna need maintenance. A lot of these construction contracts will have a maintenance period. And then some of these larger projects will actually have a separate maintenance contract after the fact.
Second contract, so wouldn't that be the third tier participation sort of going into play?
How so?
So if there's if there's another contract for maintenance, then, so for what I do is I provide green-friendly solutions for the tire repair, which is a preventative of tires.
Right.
So typically what we do is we will sell to the folks that deal with their tires,
Mhm.
and then they'll sell it to the prime.
Right. So here's the rub. So the idea of the program is that the prime is directly contracting with minority disadvantaged firms, right? So that's the second tier we talked about. Third tier is usually approved in a situation where the prime would not reasonably work directly with that firm. So the way I see it most often, if it's a large design-build construction contract and the design firm is a major sub of the construction company, you wouldn't want other design firms going directly to that construction company. They would be working underneath the major sub who was an engineering firm. So that's a scenario where third tiering makes sense. We've had people try to third tier heavy equipment or trucking underneath the major sub, but it didn't qualify because they couldn't provide enough justification as to why they couldn't work directly with the trucking companies. So third tiering is, it's not an uphill battle, but it has to be a situation where it would not make sense for the prime to work with that firm. Yes, sir.
Actually, I'm the person who normally asks this question about third tier. And the reason often I get, because it's like this, the Key Bridge, there's going to be a chunk of subcontract like $50 million, and it's unlikely to go to any disadvantaged business enterprise. But what the argument here is that if you have $50 million or $75 million contract, if you could, the prime could ask the sub, please, we'd like you to come to the table with DBEs. And it means more business. I, as a business development person, have seen this happen with contracts I've gone after, where we work for the major sub, major sub, and not for the.
Right, but you just said it was a $50 million contract, there's probably a very good reason to split up management of those different services. And that's one of those justifications that Alice was talking about at time of bid.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
If the prime doesn't self-perform, so I'll use labor as an example, and the sub doesn't have adequate staff to perform on that project, so he subs out labor because the prime doesn't self-perform, is that a justification for third tier?
No, because they could have gone to a sub that can provide labor. They could have gone directly to an MBE sub.
So
Why-
only
why-
if an MBE sub isn't available, would that be exception made? Like, I went to
No,
price.
it case by case basis,
Right.
but generally, we would not encourage third tiering if it meant, putting a non-MBE sub in between the prime and the MBE, just for paperwork reasons, right? If you're gonna hire a major sub to do labor, the expectation from the state is that that major sub provides the labor. So we would encourage them to find an MBE to provide the labor as a second tier sub.
I guess I asked it incorrectly, I apologize. So you're a carpentry firm,
Okay?
and they need more carpenters. They're MBE, but they're short. Can they use a MBE agency to provide additional carpenters? And it still meets the requirement of the role?
Well, it wouldn't be third tier at that point, because if the MBE was a major sub, whatever resources they had to bring in would be part of their MBE participation on contract.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm not gonna talk about the drawbridge, because we're gonna hear a little bit more about that. Facility-wide signage upgrade, another big construction project, what kind of stuff will we need on that?
What's your question?
Electric? What kind of subcontractable opportunities can you imagine for a signage upgrade?
MDTA, site fabrication,
Mm-hmm,
possible electric,
electric?
maybe some heavy construction, a little concrete. that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Right, so if your background is in any of those things, you gotta look at each one, this is the hard part, this is every Monday morning, you're gonna open up Emma and you're gonna look at what's out there. And you're gonna see something like signage, you'd be like, I might be able to do something there, you're gonna have to open it up, you're gonna have to read the specifications, you're gonna have to find out what kind of work they're gonna be looking for. So we'll talk about project management office and maintenance equipment storage buildings. We're building a structure, so this is not working on one of our major road facilities, but working on a structure that supports one of our road facilities. Anyone live in the Hartford County northern area? You see all the work done on the parking rides. This is another one of those. On-call miscellaneous paving repairs. So this one is a little different, right? We're really just looking for a paving contractor. We don't know how much work there's gonna be, but if there are things like materials, dump trucks, job site cleanup, or what have you, we will try to find those opportunities to make sure that those paving contractors put in the effort to find someone to partner with. On-call structural repairs, it's a similar concept. This would be like our, yes, sir.
I have a question on the on-call paving repair.
Yes.
So who does the construction management and inspection part of it once the repairs are done?
Well, we generally have our own series of CMI contracts with consultants. We have internal staff, but we also have consultants that specialize in the different types of CMI. We generally use them, am I saying that correctly? Okay. We generally use them because we have a lot of various needs. We couldn't do it in-house. We don't want to hire for each individual one, so what we'll have is a large on-call with an A&E firm that can provide as needed resources. So the goal would be, if that's the type of work you want to do, I'll show you, we'll have some A&E stuff. You gotta find the next round of A&E CMI contracts and you can get on there.
That's what my understanding was. I mean, the reason I asked that because I just wanted to make sure it's not embedded inside, how you're just trying to ask us, what is involved in that.
Yes, yeah, so some of that stuff, but in the same vein, so that is gonna need inspection, right?
Correct.
That's gonna need inspection. So you asked the right question, how do we get it inspected? So your goal is to find an agency or find someone like us who does projects like this that you know is gonna need inspection, and then you're gonna need to see if they do inspection on a case-by-case basis or if they have an on-call contract.
Got it, thank you.
So, replacement of the Bay Bridge North Ferry slip, so that's another construction, that's marine construction. Marine construction has its own series of, some specialized subcontractable, opportunities. I don't know what DNS and TRS are, but I'm assuming that is electrical.
That's inside.
Oh,
No
cool.
signs.
Okay, thank you. So more signage, so similar vein, MOT, electrical, such and so forth. 695, ramps to northbound express toll lanes, it's another one of those large civil construction contracts. And JFK Maintenance Facility Complex, so it says maintenance facility, it's not a maintenance contract, it's building a maintenance facility for JFK. Darn it. Jermaine?
There we go.
There we go. Okay.
Have to
Probably zoom in again.
treat it like iPhone.
There you go.
Okay, so now we're on A&E. Okay. Okay, SBR Structures Inspection Services, we talked earlier about SBR is not a participation goal, it's a designation. That means only small business reserves, participating firms can bid. They will have an MBE goal though, they will still need to partner with other small, women-owned businesses. I saw your hand first.
Yes, so SBR, so when only the prime has to be SBR
Correct.
certified, or the full tier has to be certified?
No, the prime has to be SBR. And sometimes they will, like if there's some sort of specialty, they might bring in a larger firm, especially maybe if this is their first go. They want support from a larger company as a sub, but they will still have an MBE goal, or if federal funded, a DBE goal, so they will still be working with
I
minority
have
firms,
a
yes.
follow-up. What is the value of the SBR contracts, the maximum limitation? Because I know sometimes you have A and B.
Yes,
So like, Bs are generally SBRs.
yes.
I wanted to see what is the maximum value of the contract, like maybe.
We don't have something set in stone, what we'll do is we'll go to the project manager.
What was the
And-
question?
Oh, I will repeat the question. The question was, when we designate a contract to SBR, how do we determine what the amount of the SBR contract would be?
Good question.
What's that?
Say good question.
Oh. Sorry, I'll repeat the question if I have to. So what we'll do is, we'll look at the whole program, and we'll find the work that we feel is a good fit for the SBR, how much of the program that will be. We do want to take some considerations. We don't want to bury someone with a contract, so we're gonna make it reasonable for an SBR firm to provide. So I've seen anywhere from $1 to $5 million, depending on the length or size of the project. But SBRs are not forbidden from bidding the larger contract as well.
Correct, correct.
Yes.
Two questions. One is the SPR can go as a joint venture.
Can I give this to you?
I get this question a lot, and the SBR itself has to qualify as a joint venture.
What was the question?
It's coming.
So the question again is, can SPR be a joint venture, go with another SPR, or it's not accepted?
So the SBR, so if you're gonna do a joint venture, in the eyes of the state, that's a brand new company, right? So that company could have whatever name in the world, but generally it's the two firms joint venture, right? That company itself, when bidding, has to qualify as an SBR.
Okay. The second question is, I saw a 20% on your presentation, on Mrs. Cook's presentation. Can you explain please that 20%?
Sure, the 20% is a goal from the state, so the governor, I guess that comes from Godspell. The state asks state agencies to give 20% of the work to SBRs, small business reserves. We do our best, we give every opportunity we can. We try, like you said, we try and default to SBR, but there has to be enough firms willing to do the work. They do a lot of market research. My procurement officers will do some market research, but we really rely on what civil rights does. And they'll let us know, hey, we found 5 SBRs, and we're like, great, let's go SBR for this contract.
So does it mean that for a big contract, always there should be 80% for a big contract and 20%?
It's not a partition of the contract. If it's a big contract, it's most likely not gonna be SBR because it would be too hard for a small business to
Get bonded and.
get bonded and stuff like
Yeah,
that. So
bonding.
what we try and do, an example of the on-call contracts for A&Es, we'll say, okay, we'll split off some of these as SBR, but we do limit it to the part of the program that an SBR could reasonably complete. Yes?
Right here, Bobby?
Thank you. I love what you're doing to break this down. This is so helpful.
Okay.
But I was going through all that in my mind. Where could I find translation? Let me give you an example. When the Key Bridge fell, SBA put out a disaster relief effort or some sort, and we got the contract to translate all that into many languages because the communities were impacted because of the bridge.
Mhm.
And so that's not a typical translation thing. So is there a way to look through, to think outside of the box to see where that might be needed and just
That-
kind of get a good,
Well, that's that Monday morning, get your coffee and start brainstorming, right? We may not put in something about translation services in our contract, but if the contract, if you feel when reading the scope of work, may have a large, diverse workforce, there may be an opportunity for you to support that prime. You can speak to the ones out here, I don't know how they utilize that on their major projects. I do know the state of Maryland does have, when I say state of Maryland, I mean Department of General Services, does have a contract for translation services that's available. So that's something that might be that you could directly respond to when that comes up every so many years. It really is about letting the prime contractors know how you can make their jobs easier.
thank you.
Yep.
And
I'm gonna get some other people, hold on. Alice, would you get some of this lady over here?
I don't know if I need that. I like the SBR program, but since we haven't done it before, I would like to have maybe engineering support. Is there a percentage of how much work the SBR has to do if they're going to bring on a engineering firm or somebody else to help them?
There is an assumption,
That's engineering support, the SBR comprehensive, that's all engineering support right there.
right.
Yeah, we put our contracts SBR, same thing with
Right.
SBR bridge inspection.
I think what she's asking is if they bring on a major non-SBR sub, is there a limit to how much
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the normal, yeah,
the normal being?
51%.
So 51%, even for our A&Es?
Is it 51%? Okay.
So for our construction, I know it's 51, I didn't know for our engineering it was the same.
Okay, fine.
Hi, Thea Graham with AV Consultant, multi-discipline in civil engineering firm. Dottie, I wanted to add to your information. So for you, for translation, you may want to check into community engagement or PR companies because a lot of these contracts, like an SBR or A&E contract, depending upon how it affects the community, there may be a community engagement or an outreach. So those companies could benefit from your services. And to answer your question, as far as the SBRs, we go after SBRs all the time because we qualify. We do have some in-house construction management, but if we go as a prime, we may contract that part of the, we may subcontract that part of the RFP. So that's where you and I can connect and we can exchange information and then we could go from there, bringing you on our team as we prime and you subcontract based upon your specialty.
That's beautiful. You wanna give the rest of the presentation? That was-
Yeah.
But that's exactly why we're here. I mean, that is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, I'm taking up too much time, so, but you'll see, all these different disciplines, electronic toll collection services. That's supporting our Easy Pass team. That's not doing the toll collection. Comprehensive engineering, environmental compliance. Let's let's see, so whereas you saw, structures inspection and comprehensive engineering, this is a little different. This is more for our facilities. This is more vertical construction, so comprehensive architectural engineering services for buildings and facilities. We have an SBR version, services and, oh, so it looks like we're switching gears home. Yeah, so we switched halfway down, we're switching up to our services contracts. So these are professional services contracts. So these might not have the huge range of tradesmen, subcontractual opportunities that our engineering and construction contracts will have, but they will
Can you zoom
have.
in? Can you zoom in? Please. Thanks. Oh, wow.
Okay,
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
okay.
Yeah, debt collection.
So debt collection for out-of-state tolls and violations. So this is an interesting one, right? So this is a professional service, so the service is out-of-state collections, right? So they're gonna need customer service, they're gonna need software, they're gonna need, translation. All of these things may be a part of it, but see how it says RFP? That means we know what we want. We want an out-of-state collection services, but we don't know exactly how to build it, right? So the primes are gonna bring their own solutions. So what you wanna do is come to the pre-proposal conference and say, hey, make sure your solution includes whatever service mine provides, because this is how you can make a better proposal for that. Pest control services, I mean, that, sometimes it really, there's no, it's a single element of work. Maybe supplies, if there's enough suppliers that are MDE, but this might end up being an SBR, looking for someone who is just a pest control specialist.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm looking at the service and maintenance project description.
That's just a typo. It's supposed to be a heading. It's just supposed to be a heading for when we switch to services contracts.
So the reason why I brought that up is because, again, we provide unique and innovative solutions.
Mhm.
And the way we've been surviving is by doing pilot programs with different agencies who depend on their fleet maintenance for day-to-day activity.
Mhm.
So we've been leveraging our certifications, doing these case studies, and now we have data that proves that not only do we reduce the greenhouse emissions, but more importantly, we're able to help cut costs. My question is, and the reason why I was asking about the second, third tier participation is, for whatever reason, the state of Maryland was saying, hey, we want to use a solution, but you gotta partner with the fuel company. So that means now that's that second tier participation where the fuel company is the prime, and then they will subcontract me, but they're making it restricted for us because we take away from the fuel, so then they create a project like that. So if there's a standalone solicitation from DGS, a contract out there, and if there's a rider clause on it, would you guys use that to do business, to have an opportunity to work with MDTA?
There's an order of precedence in the state of Maryland. It basically says when you go to buy something, first place you're gonna look at are existing statewide contracts. So you won't see something on here. If you don't see it on here, it doesn't mean we're not buying it. It means there might already be a state contract for IT, for some sort of professional services that we might be able to go directly to. So if you consider yourself a professional service provider, you're going to want to pay a lot of attention to your Department of General Services, Office of State Procurement, because they're the ones handling the large statewide services contracts. Did that help?
Yes, thank
Okay. So this one is another interesting one. Facility-wide hazmat disposal services. Now, obviously, we're gonna be looking for a hazmat expert, but they gotta buy their supplies somewhere, right? So we're gonna be looking to see if there's enough of that supplies work under the contract to partition out for an MBE goal. Okay. Okay, IT. So IT, I haven't seen any maintenance, hold on. I guess the hazmat, no, that's a service. Pest control's kind of service, I guess they don't have any maintenance. Normally, we'll sometimes have some janitorial or other facility maintenance contracts. I don't see any on our list right now. But we update this.
HVAC and plumbing.
Well, we just did them all.
Yeah, they're done, but.
But yeah, so every couple of years, we have a series of HVAC, a series of plumbing, a series of janitorial. Those contracts usually run about 5 years, so you just mark your calendar, next time it's coming up. So talking earlier about the DGS, OSP, one other agency, State Do It, State Department of IT, who's under DGS and under DGS, works with OSP. They do a lot of statewide contracts for IT products and services. So a lot of times when I meet with people, they provide a service that's an excellent service, a service I could use, but there's already a statewide contract for it. So what I try to do is some of them are evergreen, meaning the contracts exist, you can just get added, but I don't know the rate that they add you. So that's the thing that you can communicate with Office of State Procurement. But if Office of State Procurement does not want to buy what we need, or what we need is too specialized to us, they will delegate it down to us to purchase. Okay. So the ones we have here, Panasonic Toughbooks and tablets, Motorola portable radios, we'll probably look at a statewide contract for these. My manager for IT, need to let him know not to put statewide items on these lists. But if we're not able to get the exact device we need, that's when we'll reach out. We'll Google, we'll go to Emma, we'll go to the MDTA database, we'll reach out and try to find resellers that can provide us that service. But the digital forensic software, that could be something our police is using, could be something another state police agency may need to use. So if you have a background in that, don't just think about, okay, I'm gonna apply this MDTA one, right? The state have police, MAA has police, universities have police. There isn't just one place to go and bid your services to all the police. So that's the one thing I try to leave people with when I give these presentations is we are one of 70 state agencies that need these services to operate. So give some thought to the agencies, core competencies and the work that that agency does. And then you'll know to concentrate on the people that will be buying the types of services you need. I need to breathe.
Good job, man.
Okay, I think I went over my time, but if there's any questions.
Good job.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Oh, one more, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I was all happy to breathe.
Thank you for your presentation. My name is Rupesh Gandhi. I'm with Somat Engineering.
Mm-hmm.
This is more of the state contract, so to speak.
Okay.
I mean, I know these are not new contracts, these are repeated contracts. Where can I find the incumbent list?
The incumbent list.
Correct. For the most of the contracts, like SBR contracts, so this is not a new contract, this is a renewal of
Right.
something. So
Typically.
Typically.
Yes.
So where can I find the incumbent list who has, where the prime, where I can go connect to the primes previously?
Okay, so if it's like a current active solicitation, you can reach out to the procurement officer, direct contact. If you are just thinking 2 years down the line, you could reach out to me or my office, and we can do that research for you. So who's on the contract is public because it's not, anyone who bids with us, their contract is public. But if you want to actually see the documents, that would be a PIA request. But we can at any time let you know who the incumbent on a specific contract is.
Because generally in the previous times, what I did was I went to meeting minutes and I had to dig down to the particular contract to get who won the contract.
I was going to suggest that, but it seemed like too much work, but yes.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no easy way out for that.
Yes, you can look at Board of Public Works, you can look at MDTA, we have, our Capital Committee and Authority Board are public, so you're able to see. But for A&E, since that's under, we're not delegated to procure that, the final approval is the BPW, and that'd be the place to confirm who won the contract. Or you can just email me, I'm sure my contact information is here, I can give it to you. And then if I don't know the answer, I can give it to one of my A&E team who can answer for you.
Thank you so much.